Hey guys, Hannah Bell, family lawyer, here today with a Family Law 101. Let's get back to some basics or some things that maybe don't seem quite so basic if you're new to this or just in general or other lawyers who are like, what divorce? Like, what's the deal? So we've made our way through, I think we got all the way through temporary orders. So probably the next best thing to talk about is an inventory and appraisement, or most commonly referred to as an INA. Now, my first divorce case after I left the big firm, and I was doing employment law and then I went into family law, the lawyer kept talking about, well, we need to do an INA. And finally, I was just like, what's an INA? So if that's you and you're like, what's an INA? Well, this video is for you. So it's exactly what it sounds like, inventory and appraisement. So one of the things, if you're not going to go to court in particular, that the lawyers are all working towards is a spreadsheet. Okay, I'm just going to let you in behind the curtain. And lawyers are super focused on getting this spreadsheet. And usually they're referring to a spreadsheet version of the inventory and appraisement. And that's the thing that maybe if it's an informal settlement discussion, the lawyers will exchange back and forth. If you're at mediation, it's sort of the thing that moves back and forth. Where, let's see, in a divorce case, generally speaking, you're trying to get to equal. Think about it like a scale, okay? And you're trying to get to this 50-50 split of the assets and liabilities with some caveats to the marital estate. And there are two columns in this spreadsheet that is generally speaking a spreadsheet version of the INA. And at the bottom, those two cells, they want them to equal 50-50. They have all these formulas and stuff or the good ones do, to get to 50-50. Okay, so that's sort of the goal. They use this tool to help settle your case as it comes to money. Okay, the kid stuff isn't on there unless it's a 529. But it's generally speaking about the money. So pretty early on in the process, like once you're past temporary orders, or if you don't do that, like right from the beginning, your lawyer's going to start asking you for some documents and some information, because we have to find out what's there to split up, right? Y'all are splitting up. We understand about kids. What stuff needs to get split up and what's that stuff worth? So we need to inventory the stuff, assets, liabilities, and then appraise them, find out the value. So at first, in the real informal version of this, we're just going to be looking at what's your appraised value. Kind of what do you think your house is worth? What's the mortgage on it? How much credit card debt do you have? What's your stock retirement plan situation? And there's a long form that's from one of the accepted practice manual things we use, where you'll fill out all these million questions. It'll make you crazy like this. And then once you fill out all those questions, you include with that backup documentation. Look, in case you are not aware, in divorce, people are generally speaking not just going to take your word for it. So this is kind of one of the annoying pieces. You have to dig through all your stuff and find everything. So you are going to provide with your INA answers usually 6 months of backup documentation. That's what your lawyer is going to want. He or she is going to want from you 6 months of credit card statements, 6 months of mortgage statements, 6 months of stock stuff. Now, some will want more, some will want less. If it's super informal and you just sort of need current balances and you're not going to dig, you may just give this month's stuff. But generally speaking, think in terms of about 6 months of statements and etc. you're going to put with this, if in the really informal situation, because sometimes lawyers will use these INAs back and forth to just make a deal. Not skip mediation, skip the whole thing, just say what you got and what it's worth. Now, so that's step one. You'll submit this big long thing and the documents, and then your legal team will put it into a spreadsheet form and likely mostly work off of that. Some people still use the long form, but generally speaking, they're all trying to get to this spreadsheet. Okay. So it's a pain in the butt. I think you need to think about, a whole weekend, leaving that open to be able to handle this, right? To gather, you may have to request statements, request documents to get it all together. And then the goal is to get this paper that lays it all on the line. It's not a surprise. You're going to pretty much lay all of your cards on the table, and your X factor, they're going to lay all their cards on the table. Because what often happens is in a marriage, one of the spouses is the money person. They're the one who pay the bills. They know where all the accounts are, account numbers, whatever. And one of the spouses is like, oh no, I just use this one credit card and who knows, right? So it's super important in those situations to know what's out there. And you may think like, so what? People just lie, they'll just pretend. They do that sometimes, but at their own peril, because these documents are sworn to. So you have to swear under penalty of perjury that what you're saying, the information you're providing is true and correct. So you can't just like lie, or you can get in big trouble for doing that, at least theoretically. And one of the consequences of so this is not theoretical, of not disclosing everything is if you get to mediation, let's say, or you get to the decree, they'll often include a provision that says if it's not disclosed, then the other party gets it, or it's subject to future division. So there are some consequences. It's not the easiest thing to find out necessarily, like if somebody left something off. But anyway, there are some options of things to do. So in doing an inventory and appraisement, it's likely going to come pretty early on in your case. And you want to be thorough, and the more organized and the more detailed you are in getting this information together, the more money you're going to save yourself, because your lawyer, like, boo, they don't even have all that much to do because you've been so organized, and you'll be their favorite client, and they'll call you back right away, and everything will be as best as it possibly can be, hopefully. And I'm trying to think anything else. I think that's really the main thing about an INA. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'd be happy to talk you through it, but don't be intimidated. It's basically, I remember what I was going to say. Sometimes in those appraisements, you realize you need an actual appraisal. So like for real properties, say y'all have got this ranch out in, in the hill country, and you've got this house and a rental house, and you'll get one that he says it's worth $600,000 and you say it's worth $525,000. What do you do? So when you're far apart like that, that's when it can kind of make it clear you need to get some professional help and get someone in there, an objective third party who can put a value on that. So don't worry if you're not 100% sure what the value is. You could just put a question mark to your lawyer and say, look, I don't know. I think we're going to have to get an appraiser. So don't like stress yourself out and do it. And usually most lawyers will tell you, if you don't know, skip it and we can fill it in. Because sometimes you can be intimidated, like, well, I don't know what's a fringe benefits, this and that, and so you feel the need to just like stop. So don't stop, keep going, fill it out best you can, and your lawyer and their paralegal and team will help you fill in all the gaps. So INA, Family Law 101, inventory and appraisement, you can do it. It's going to be key in your case and is worth putting a lot of effort in to make sure you do it all the way right the first time. So take care, everybody. Hope everybody's hanging in there. It's crazy.